The following is a poem I wrote about my late grandfather. His faint smile is all that remains. Before his spry and wrinkled face, before his soft, illuminated glow fades to me writing this, my fingers hover over the keys, caressing the bumps, clicking those yearning to be pressed, searching for a sweet memory worthy of him. My large hand presses against my closed eyes. Tall, dark seas emerge and fight without end. Across the ever-expanding horizon, they thrash against me. He would travel these long waters and take care of me before I was fully aware he did, or of my own breath that vanished as I fell inside the howling and salty abyss. A soft couch breaks my fall as it squishes beneath me. I readjust. From the shock that dug its fingers into my brain and through it with the purple foul slush left splatter on empty space, these remains stretch and mold into a distorted brook, which hovers now in perfectly frail hands over a checkered and scraped wooden board that minimizes as the orange daylight fades from the smoky balcony into the compact room and blinds me. Soccer commentators let out energetic cheers from the muffled television. The piece slams against the wood and bounces repeatedly, searching to stop. Click, clack, click. In the baby blue room, where my mother told me the news, she patted my back with her tears, suppressed. I wanted to feel something, so for the first time since watching Mufasa get trampled by the wildebeest, I let my tears go. They built up like a clogged, ever-expanding garden hose, eager to erupt as the bitter water pounded and gurgled against my palm that kept it shut. For him, I let go, and it jumped out of my hand, spraying in every direction, flooding my area to ensure he received all I had been waiting to give. Hopefully, this will paint a fresh memory and bring him back to love. No. My pinky hovers over the backspace key, resisting the urge to jam it, to erase this whole memory while the once unnoticeable fan hisses in my ear. He should be more than a thought to be deleted by the press of a key, long forgotten until it is my turn. As my wife sobs and grasps me with her warm, firm embrace, squeezing my bony hand and giving one last passionate kiss as the night envelops my lifeless corpse. Will my grandson care to not forget? Thank you for listening. This was a poem I wrote January 20th, 2025, called Surrounded by His Fading Memory, for a class. The following is the criticism and praise received by my professor. The grade of this was 84. Title is a little confusing. Is it the narrator's memory of the grandfather that's fading? I wonder if a title that evokes the emotion of the poem might be a bit stronger. So yeah, here the title is, yes, she's correct. It's the memory of the grandfather that's fading. His faint smile is all that remains. Strong beginning. It gets us right into the subject of the poem, my teacher says. When I say before his soft, illuminated glow, my teacher says, I'm not sure what this refers to. Is it a photograph on a screen, or does this allude to the internal vision of the narrator? When I say caressing the bumps, clicking those during repressed, she says this is very effective to evoke longing to recover the memories of grandfather. She says, tall, dark seeds emerge. My professor says, this is a strong image, and I'm intrigued by the connection to the grandfather, as it suggests that the inner conflict is something the grandfather protected the narrator from. Yes, it is. But it could also be the eternal struggle of the narrator in the space of this memory. It is that as well. It might be that we need a few more hints in order to understand what this image is doing. In my opinion, there is that good writing allows the reader to decide what they want to and have their own opinion and take on it because it's more fun that way. And then when I talk about the remains, the stretch, and the molding into Sword Rook, she says, this is a strong image as it's not only metaphorical, it also brings us into a scene and relationship. It seems to me between the narrator and the grandfather, i.e., over the chessboard. I think that the connection between the metaphor and the actual relationship is what could be strengthened in the previous stanza. When I say soccer commentators let out energetic cheers, my professor says this effectively brings us back into the present through sound. Now, when I say searching to stop, when the piece bounces against the wood repeatedly, my professor says, not sure what this implies. Well, the implication here is that the piece is forever clicking and clacking against the table. It's approaching a slower speed, making it look like it's going to stop, making it look like the memories are going to fade away. And they do in intensity, but they never fully fade away. It just becomes harder to remember him, but the memory can always be there. That's what that implies. Now, when I say I let my tears go, they built up like a clog, she says, this could be out of order. The build-up then forces the tears to be let go. Maybe I let my tears go isn't necessary here. Now, the bitter water, she says, this is a strong and effective simile, really speaks to force of emotion. And I say, flooding my area to ensure he received all I have been waiting to give, my professor says. Are the tears the gift? Oh, that's very interesting. It's really great when you write something and one of your readers finds a different interpretation of it because that brings it to a new life. I didn't see it that way, but it definitely can be. And then when I say once a noticeable fan hisses, she says, like the soccer commentators, this phrase successfully brings the reader back into the present. And then for the second last sentence, she says, somewhat cliched image, aimed to match the strength of imagery above. What she doesn't know here is that's exactly how he passed his way. He passed away. That's the story of how he passed away when it was recounted by my grandma. So that is true. And then she says, this is her final conclusion to my piece. Thomas, this is a strongly emotional poem about loss and grieving, and you use similes and metaphors, as well as other sensory images to not only create the scene of grief, but also to allude to some of the memories that the narrator shares with the grandfather. The move forward to the narrator's own death at the end effectively brings the poem full circle. There's a lot of strong and wonderful passages in here, which I've also commented on in the margins. The scene of the chessboard is especially effective because it suggests something that the narrator used to do with the grandfather, and the simile of the erupting garden hose strongly evokes that struggle to hold back and the relief of letting go intense emotions. Yes, this is true. We played chess a lot together. My professor continues, I felt less certain about the clashing seas metaphor, as I wasn't sure whether it simply evoked the narrator's emotions during the attempt to remember, or whether it, like the chessboard passage, depicted an aspect of the relationship. The latter seems more possible. As the grandfather is briefly seen taking care of the narrator, it might be effective to pin this down in a somewhat more concrete way. I'm also wondering a bit about the lineation of this poem, as I'm not sure how considered many of the line breaks are. They appear to be short paragraphs rather than decisive lines. That's definitely nothing wrong with long lines, but a bit more visual decision making would further shape the poetic structure and the strengthen the compelling images and internal struggles of the poem. Good work. Grade 84. Yeah, so, and I spoke with her about this, and for the lines, yeah, it was my mistake. I didn't know, because I'm used to writing like fiction. I wrote Tempest, the sci-fi, and I'm used to writing in almost paragraph form, but she told me in poems you want to not keep paragraphs. So that's what she's meaning here. But there is deep thought put into the shape and many hours of editing, because as you can see, from rains to soft to keys, it goes diagonal, and then you can see emerge, readjust, balcony slams, goes diagonal down. So it's kind of like an arrow. And we have the same inverted arrow from clog to lie to turn to corpse and then to forget. So kind of like this jagged edge is what happened there. Yeah, if you guys like this, I have some more short stories that I've written, and I can make similar content to this. Let me know down in the description if you guys would like this. Yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, like the video if you liked it. Give a dislike if you didn't like the video. Any feedback helps. And yeah, when we get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to drop these luxury hats that you can see in my other videos. Yeah, thank you so much for watching.